Steve Kane has been pivotal in the growth and transformation of thousands of people nationally and internationally. His skills are called on by corporate, local government, small to medium businesses, churches, schools, not-for-profits, volunteer organizations, and individuals wanting to either prepare for an opportunity or develop new skills to increase their effectiveness and influence. As the owner and director of Design Alliance, he impacts leaders and teams in leveraging their personal and professional growth along with developing their leadership skills. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Kane.
All I can say is that God is very good with the material he's got and what he can do with that material. Is that true? I've found that to be true. First of all, I'm talking tonight about mentorship, and I think Patrice needed a little mentoring about how to throw up effectively on a train. So, Patrice, if you'd had that mentoring, you could have gone the right direction and it would have drawn it away from you and not blown it into your face. So, yeah. But I did learn a lot. Let's put our hands together for Patrice and Bethany. Thank you. Fantastic. I really learned a lot from both of you. You know, when we think about every one of us, where we are and what we can do, and the gifts and talents that we have, they've all been molded and shaped by somebody. God's given us raw material, and then from that raw material, there are people who have mentored us in our lives, and it's made a significant difference. I love the saying where it says, there's nothing sadder in the world than someone who has an acre of potential, but they've only cultivated a house block's worth. So how do you cultivate more than the house block's worth that you've cultivated? Because when I look at you, I know there is so much more that you have yet to tap into. And it's the same for me. God has blessed us with these incredible minds. God's blessed us with opportunities and with people that get beside us. I can guarantee you've only cultivated just a house block's worth of the potential that God has instilled in you. So let's not settle. So how do we cultivate more? Well, I love this quote from John Maxwell. We cannot reach our potential without the help of others. Just think about that for a moment. So if you want to cultivate more of the potential that you have to get beside the right kinds of people. Paul Stanley and Junior Clinton said this: mentoring is a relational experience where one person empowers another with their God-given resources. I love that. God-given resources. And every one of you has the potential to mentor somebody else. And all of you have the potential to be mentored. To be mentored. So which one are you going to do first? Well, just for fun, let's start off with a little story. There was a guy in the Bible by the name of Barnabas, the son of encouragement. That's what his name means. And he was this guy who went around and encouraged people. Look at how he interacted with the Apostle Paul. He gets down to Jerusalem. Everyone's scared of Paul. They've heard he's had this big thing happen. There was a flash of light and God spoke to him and suddenly he got all extra spiritual, but on the Christian side this time, not on the Pharisee side. He came across, right? But they were all scared of him, but it was Barnabas who took him to the other apostles in Jerusalem and said, hey, I can vouch for him. And then later on missionary journeys, who does Paul go with? Barnabas. So Paul was the big speaker. He was the one out the front, but behind the speaker was Barnabas, cheering him on, encouraging him. uplifting him and helping him on. And if you look in the Bible, there's a lot of examples of people who are mentored by somebody else. And mentors do not always get the glory. But that's not why mentors mentor other people. You know what I love doing best? I love helping other people be more successful and significant in what they do. It's the most amazing thing to do in the world. So let's start off with being a good mentee. And when you're a mentee, you're receiving the mentoring, right? So here's a couple of practical tips. By the way, you know when sometimes you share PowerPoints and they go from one format to another? This was supposed to come one at a time. So just pretend you didn't see any of the other. We start at number one, okay? All right, we're going to have clarity on the mentoring you're seeking. First of all, you need to know what it is that you're wanting to be mentored in. And the more clarity you can have on that, the easier it is to choose the right kind of mentor to help you. The second thing is, does the mentor have credibility in the area that you want to get mentored in? Do they have credibility? Have they done it? Have they done it before? You know, there's a lot of people who teach out of books, and they've never done it before. It's like a lot of, when you go to a broke accountant, doesn't give you a lot of confidence, right? Okay, just as an example. And if you're an accountant here tonight, I'm not having a go, okay? I need accountants, trust me. All right, number 3, is the mentor's strength compatible with yours? And what we mean by this is that compatible, you imagine if you enlisted a top NBA basketball player, all right, and he's going to mentor someone who's a 5'8" couch potato. The couch potato strength is not in the basketball, right? They got channel surfing strengths. They need to get someone who knows how to do that real well. Okay? So this is what we're talking about. You've got to match the strength. So if you've got a strength that's already a strength or something you're wanting to build, you think it's a potential strength, you want to get with someone who has the same strength but enhanced from where you are. So that's the thing about, is the mentor's strength compatible with yours? You don't want to have this disconnect when it comes to that. The fourth thing is, does the mentor reproduce other leaders? Are they effective in helping other people take those steps and to help them move forward in life? Really important thing. You want to go with a winner. You don't want to go with someone who's had, it's up and down 50-50 whether or not they're going to be successful with you. The next thing is you want to find someone who's 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, not 5 steps. You don't even know what questions to ask someone who's 5 steps in front of you yet. What you want to do is find someone who's recently transitioned to the next stage so that you can make that leap too, not someone who's way over here. You're wasting their time. You don't even know the questions you should be asking someone who's way over here yet. But you do know the ones to ask someone who's back here. So look for someone who's 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, who's recently done what it is that you want to do. And the next point is about the impersonal versus personal. So with mentoring, some are mentors you will never meet. You read their books. You listen to their podcasts. You read their blogs. You look at their YouTubes. You look at their journals or whatever it is. And so some people mentor us impersonally, but they still have a big impact on us. However, if you really want to have massive impact, you have to have the personal, where you meet with a mentor, whether it's via Zoom or whether in person, and you actually get to experience that, because what happens is there's accountability in that. And it will turbocharge your growth and your skill acquisition when you lean into that. Because you know you're going to see them again and they're going to ask you, so what did you do with what I told you? Nothing. That's not a good enough answer. You won't have a mentor for long. So if you want to be a great mentee, this is what you need to do when you turn up to your mentor. There's a few things that are really important. And if you do these things, they'll want to mentor you long term. If you don't do them, well, it's going to be a short relationship. The first is be on time. Busy people who are successful and significant in what they do, the thing that they have the least amount of is time. Put your hand up here if time is one of your highest things that you value. Yeah. And there's nothing worse than wasting people's time. So turn up on time. The second thing is come prepared with questions. Thoughtful questions that you're going to ask when you get there. Don't just rock up and wing it. You want to get there and you want to ask thoughtful questions, because the better quality questions that you can come up with, guess what? You're going to get better quality answers. The third thing is listen and take notes. That shows the mentor that you're taking it seriously. You're not just lounging back there with the lemonade and, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, okay, thank you. No, you're writing notes, you're listening, all right, so you don't forget. The next thing is ask for examples and clarification to ensure that you understand what they've just told you. And if you're not sure, be honest, say, look, I didn't quite get that. I'm doing this, but you're saying this. Tell me a bit more about that. And the fifth thing is take action by applying what you've actually learned from them. So, this is the learning cycle. What you want to do is you want to get yourself in a position where when you come back to the next time, you say, hey, this is what I learned from you. This is what I went away and applied. This is what I experienced from what I did. Here's what I learned from what I did. And can you see, from what I've told you, is there ways that you can see I could have improved in applying what you told me last time? And then you get that feedback from your actions to how you might improve. And then you ask your new set of questions that you came with prepared since the last time, okay? And then you just repeat this cycle. So this is what I learned from you last time I was with you. This is what I heard you say. This is how I put it into practice. This is what happened. And this is what I've learned from what's happened. Did I miss anything? Can you help me see more clearly? And hey, here's some new questions I have. All right. And once you've been mentored for a while, you've got to pay it forward. Who can you mentor? Because when we start mentoring others with what we have learned, guess what? It really beds the learning down in our minds and it helps make it stick in you. Plus, it's a Christian principle, is giving to others and being generous with what God has given you. So, okay. So we've been a mentee, now we're going to step into being a mentor. So what are some key things here? And mentoring is about giving. First of all, make sure you choose your mentee carefully, because you're giving up valuable time. Plus, you don't want to waste your investment in somebody else. You may as well invest in someone who's going to be a good investment. Don't be foolish with that. Are you the right fit for the person? Good question. Are they keen to learn and apply? If they're not ready to learn and apply, then, one thing there's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So being a great mentor, first of all, make clear what is unclear for the person. You'll see things that they're unclear on certain things. Be an example. It's more important that if you're going to be a mentor in a certain thing, you got to know the way, go the way, and show the way. Because that's what good leaders do. They know the way, go the way, show the way. And then you've got to nuance the small things, because the difference between being sometimes successful and unsuccessful is often the gap between those two things is very small. It's not as large as we like to think between failure and success. It's actually quite small in between. So if you can nuance the small things for people, it will help them find the things that they're missing that will give them that secret sauce in a way to have a better outcome. Right? T of mentor is time investment in their growth. You're going to have to invest time. But do it willingly and not grudgingly because someone else in your past has invested in you. Think about those primary teachers who invested time teaching us how to read. Where would we be if we couldn't read, for example? Open the door to your connections. What you want to do is help this person transition further. And you say, hey, listen, I know another person after you finish with me, I think it'd be a great mentor for you. Here, open your address book. Be generous with your connections. And you want to give them some replicable. Can you turn to someone beside you and say that word? Replicable? Can you just say that to someone next to you? Just replicable. All right, replicate. Give them replicable steps for improvement. In other words, things that they can repeat to help them improve. And if you can do that as a mentor, you're doing some great stuff for the people that are coming to you. John Wooden was a famous UCLA basketball coach. He was famous for taking teams and transforming them into winning teams, but not just on the court, but off the court. His players ended up being decent human beings. And he said this, mentors do not seek to create a new person. You don't want to mentor them to be like you. You want to mentor them to fulfill their potential. Right? They simply seek to help a person become a better version of themselves. And I believe that transformation starts because the Bible says, be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. It starts here. So transformation's going to start here, no matter what it is in life, to help them be a better version of themselves. When you meet with your mentee, there's some expectations that you want to set out, and there's we expectations. Both you and the mentee, we will maintain a return on investment. I'm investing time in you, and I'm expecting a return from my investment in you. It's not just a nice little high-five chat. And we will make each other better because of our time together. That's a commitment from both of us. What about for the mentee? This is what they need to commit to. You must come ready. You must keep earning my time. You must improve. You must learn. And you must mentor others. Because you want to multiply what's happening here. And it has an exponential factor over time. That's how you make the most of living, multiplying. You must mentor others. And then here's some commitments that you need to make as a mentor. Important commitments like, I'll be a safe person for you to share with, right? I'll make myself available to you. I promise you I'll give you my best. I'm not just going to give you my second best and keep all the good stuff back from you so I can be better than you. No, that's not what you do. Right? It's giving your best. And I will look out for your best interest, and I will tell you things, even sometimes hard things. There's been times in my life I wish someone had told me some of the hard things so that I could have learned earlier rather than having to find out way down the track. Yeah? We all know it because that person gets sacked, but they didn't find out about it until way down the track. They should have been talked to way before so they could make adjustments and improvements. So we need to be honest with people. We've got to balance care with candor. You have to do that to be a blessing to others. Not just give them all the care and no candor, or all candor. You ever met those people? You know who they are. They're all candor. They tell everyone what to do and how to do it and how high, but there's no care in it. You've got to balance the care and the candor as a mentor. A couple of finishing up points here. Personalize your mentoring. Try to make it so it suits them. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Care enough to have those crucial conversations we mentioned about. And introduce a bigger room. And again, that's touching back on your contacts. Who else can I introduce them to? How can I help them more? If you can introduce a bigger room. By the way, if you find yourself being the person that everyone else is coming to for a certain thing in your workplace or in your ministry, everyone's coming to you, probably time you've got a bigger room. You need to expose yourself to where you're more challenged, right? And you don't want to be that person. You can be a big fish in a small pond sometimes. You know what I mean? Swaggering around it. Yeah, but yeah, your pond's about this big. All right, so you need a bigger room. And then suddenly you don't have so much swagger anymore. You're not the brightest person in the room, and you're not the smartest or fastest person in the room. You don't want to be that. If you're that in your room, it means you're playing it safe. So get a bigger room and help them, introduce them to a bigger room so they can continue to grow and improve. We teach what we know, but we reproduce who we are. That's why it's so important. Don't fake it till you make it. Spend the time instead on just working on you. Improve you so you don't have to fake it. Mentee plus mentor. What does it give you? You put those two things together. First of all, you'll go further, faster, and you'll be more successful than you will if you just traveled alone. That's why it pays to get a mentor, right? And if you do that, life is a lot faster and a lot better and a lot more fun. Another thing, when you're a mentor, it's really rewarding and fulfilling. And it's like kind of, I imagine you, Patrice, when you got those kids and they start off and they're, yeah, wow, yeah, and they're singing away and you're just there like you did, just oh, Lord, help me, and then a few weeks later or a few days later, they're like singing like angels. How rewarding is that? You're like, whoa, God, I would never have thought. Who would have imagined? So it's very rewarding and fulfilling seeing other people win and see them lift and improve. And what is church all about anyway? When we get together, what were some of the key things? To encourage, lift one another up in our faith in God and in our lives, right? Yeah, that's what's awesome. It's not about a lot of other things, but yeah, this is the beauty about mentorship. It's fantastic. And this is the last thing here. Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. Wasn't that kind of what Paul was saying? All right? And I love this picture. Here's a guy there walking towards the light, and everyone else is following the guy who's walking towards the light. As you're walking towards the light, invite other people to walk with you. But set the example. Set the example. My example is Christ. Hey, follow me. All right? That's mentorship. Thank you. May God bless you. It's been a privilege to talk with you tonight, and I hope you learned something about being a great mentee and an awesome mentor.